The graveyard should have been empty at dawn, just frost-covered headstones and the distant rumble of highway traffic. But when Jackson Reaper Kane pulled his Harley through the cemetery gates, he heard something that made his blood run cold. A child's broken sobbing. He killed the engine and listened. The sound came from the hill where his daughter rested. His boots crunched through frozen grass as he climbed toward Lily's grave, his leather cut weighing heavy on his shoulders. 30 years with the Hell Angels MC, but none of that mattered anymore. Not since 6 months ago, when everything that made him human had been stolen in a single moment. That's when he saw her. A little girl, maybe 8 years old, kneeling in front of Lily's headstone. Her thin jacket was no match for the October morning. She held a wilted sunflower and was tracing the carved letters of his daughter's name with trembling fingers. Jackson froze. No one visited this grave except him. Yet here was this child, weeping like her heart had been torn in two. "Kid," he said roughly, "what are you doing here?" The girl jumped but didn't run. Instead, she turned to face him with red-rimmed eyes that struck him like a fist to the chest. They were the same shade as Lily's had been, the same impossible sadness. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I snuck out, but I promised her I'd come." Jackson's throat tightened. "Promised who?" "Lily." The girl held up the sunflower. "She was teaching me to read. She said sunflowers always face the light, even when everything around them is dark." The world tilted. Lily had been a teacher at the elementary school downtown, but she'd never mentioned tutoring anyone. His daughter had kept secrets from him. "How did you know my daughter?" Jackson asked, crouching down despite his bad knee protesting. The girl studied his face. "You look exactly like she said. Big and scary on the outside, but she said you were the gentlest person she ever knew." Something cracked inside Jackson's chest. After her mother died giving birth, he'd raised Lily alone, balancing club business with parent-teacher conferences and ballet recitals. She'd been his anchor to humanity. "What's your name?" he asked more gently. "Emma. Emma Torres." She wiped her nose. "Lily was helping me after school. She said I was smart, just needed someone to believe in me." The girl's voice broke. She said she was going to make sure I didn't fall through the cracks. Jackson felt his hands trembling. 6 months ago, Lily had been driving home when a drunk driver crossed the center line. She'd died instantly. "Emma, where are your parents?" The girl's face shuddered. "Mom works 3 jobs. She's never home. Dad left before I was born." "Who takes care of you?" "Myself, mostly." Emma looked back at the headstone. "But Lily said she was working on something that would change everything. She said in a few more weeks, I wouldn't have to be alone anymore." Jackson's mind raced. His daughter had been secretive in the months before the accident, making hushed phone calls, coming home late with paperwork she'd hide. He'd assumed she was dating someone. If you believe in the power of observation, in trusting your instincts, and in the courage it takes to speak up when something feels wrong, then pause for a moment. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to Bike Diaries. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from today, because this story will remind you that heroes come in all sizes, and sometimes the smallest voices carry the most important messages. "Emma," Jackson said carefully, "did Lily talk to you about adoption?" The girl's eyes widened. "How did you know?" His heart stopped. "Tell me." "She said she was talking to lawyers and judges. She said my mom was so tired, and maybe it would be better if I had someone who could really take care of me. Mom cried, but said yes because she wanted me to have a real chance." Emma's words tumbled out faster. Lily said we'd live in a house with a big yard, and I could have a dog, and she'd help me with homework every night. She said I'd finally have a family. Jackson stood abruptly, his vision blurring. Lily had been planning to adopt this child, and she'd never told him because she knew his objections, that raising a kid in his world was dangerous, that the club's enemies might use a child as leverage. But Lily hadn't cared. She'd moved forward anyway, and now she was gone, leaving behind a little girl with broken promises. When did you last see Lily? The day before the accident. She came to tell me the judge had approved everything. She said in 2 more weeks, everything would be official. Emma's tears fell freely. She hugged me and said, "Soon you'll be my daughter, and we'll take care of each other forever." 2 weeks. Lily had been 2 weeks away from giving this child everything she'd ever wanted. Where do you live? Morrison Heights, Building C, Unit 47. Morrison Heights. Jackson knew it well. The Hell Angels controlled that territory. It was rough. Gunshots as background noise. Kids growing up fast or not at all. How did you get here? I walked. It's only 4 miles. 4 miles. This 8-year-old girl had walked 4 miles in the cold darkness to keep a promise to his dead daughter. Jackson made a decision. Come on, kid. I'm taking you home. They rode back with Emma clinging to his waist, shivering despite the extra jacket he'd wrapped around her. When they pulled up to the apartment building, Jackson saw exactly what he'd expected. Broken windows, graffiti, dealers doing morning business. He knocked on Unit 47. An exhausted woman in scrubs answered, her name tag reading Maria Torres, CNA. When she saw Emma, relief and fury crossed her face. "Emma, where have you been?" Maria's eyes snapped to Jackson, taking in his cut and tattoos. "Who are you?" "Jackson Kane. I'm Lily Kane's father." Understanding flooded Maria's face, followed by grief. "Oh, Emma, you went to her grave again?" "I promised I'd visit," Emma said stubbornly. Maria sagged against the doorframe. "I'm sorry, Mr. Kane. I work 3 jobs. Emma's supposed to stay with the neighbor, but—" She trailed off. "Can I come in? We need to talk." Maria hesitated but stepped aside. The apartment was clean but spare. On the refrigerator, Jackson saw photos of Emma and Lily together. At the library, at the park, Emma holding up a book with a proud smile. His daughter had loved this child. "Your daughter was an angel," Maria said quietly. She saw Emma struggling and stayed after every day to help. Lily understood what it was like to grow up without enough. She told me about you raising her alone while running with the club. She wanted to give Emma what you gave her, a fighting chance. Jackson's throat was too tight to speak. When Lily came to me about adoption, I wanted to say no. Emma's my baby. But I'm drowning, Mr. Kane. 3 jobs and I still can't afford after-school care. Emma comes home to an empty apartment, does homework alone, makes her own dinner. She's 8 and raising herself. Tears streamed down Maria's face. Lily could have given her everything I can't. I said yes because I love my daughter enough to want better for her. And now? Now Emma's back to being alone. The adoption papers died with Lily. Emma had been listening from the doorway, silent tears tracking down her cheeks. Jackson looked at this little girl who'd walked 4 miles in the dark to keep a promise, who'd learned to take care of herself, who'd had a family dangled in front of her and then snatched away. He thought about Lily's voice. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is choose love over fear. What if I finished what Lily started? Both Maria and Emma stared at him in shock. I'm a 52-year-old biker with a rap sheet. The courts will fight me, but I've got resources, connections, and lawyers. Most importantly, I've got what Lily wanted, a way to keep her promise. You want to adopt Emma? Maria whispered. I want to give her what my daughter wanted her to have. Jackson looked at Emma. I can't replace Lily, but I can honor her memory by taking care of the kid she loved. You'd really want me? Emma's voice was barely audible. Jackson knelt down. Kid, Lily wanted you. That's all I need to know. If she thought you were worth building a family around, then so do I. But I'm nobody. Just a poor kid who can't even read good. You walked 4 miles before dawn to keep a promise to someone who died. That's someone with more heart than most men I know. Jackson held out his hand. What do you say? Want to help me figure out how to be a grandfather? Emma stared at his scarred, tattooed hand, capable of violence but offering only gentleness. Then she put her small palm in his, and Jackson felt something he hadn't felt since Lily died. Hope. If this story has touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Bike Diaries. We bring you stories that prove heroism comes in all forms, that courage isn't measured by size or age, and that sometimes the smallest voices carry the most important messages. Tell us in the comments. Have you ever noticed something important that others missed? The legal battle was brutal. Social services didn't want to place a child with a hell angel. Jackson's lawyer, Patricia, fought hard. They're throwing everything at you, Patricia warned. Your record, your associates, the club's reputation. Morrison Heights has 3 times the crime rate of my neighborhood, Jackson countered. What's more dangerous? They built their case. Jackson submitted to background checks, drug tests, home inspections. He converted Lily's room for Emma. He enrolled in parenting classes and anger management. The Hell Angels supported him. When the investigator came, 12 leather-clad bikers testified about Jackson's loyalty and his role as a father. Reaper raised a school teacher who devoted her life to helping kids, one said. That tells me everything about what kind of man he is. Maria testified, too. Mr. Kane isn't taking my daughter. He's giving her opportunities I can't. He's honoring a promise. That's love. The judge, Margaret Winters, took 3 weeks to decide. When Jackson and Emma stood before her, his heart hammered. Mr. Kane, your history concerns me. Your associations concern me. Jackson's hopes crashed. However, the judge continued, I'm more concerned about Emma's current situation, a child who walks 4 miles alone before dawn. A little girl who lost the only person fighting for her. Judge Winters looked at Emma. Young lady, do you understand what adoption means? Emma nodded. It means Jackson would be my family, like Lily wanted. Is that what you want? Yes, Your Honor, more than anything. Mr. Kane, I'm granting temporary custody with monthly check-ins for 1 year. If Emma's grades slip, if there's any indication of neglect, I will reverse this immediately. Understand? Yes, Your Honor. Then congratulations. You're officially a guardian. She banged her gavel. Don't make me regret this. Jackson swept Emma up in a hug. We did it, kid. Lily's promise is kept. The first months were chaos. Jackson had forgotten how much energy children had, how many questions they asked. Emma was fascinated by everything. The motorcycles, the stories about Lily. Tell me about when she learned to ride a bike, Emma would say with hot chocolate. And Jackson would tell her about 6-year-old Lily's determination. The skinned knees, the day she finally rode down the street with the biggest grin. I wish I could have known her longer, Emma said softly. Me too, kid. But Emma's presence didn't diminish his grief. It transformed it. Every homework session, every braided hair attempt, every parent-teacher conference brought him closer to his daughter. He was living Lily's dream. Emma thrived. Her grades improved dramatically. She joined soccer, made friends, started smiling easily. The haunted look faded, replaced by natural brightness. Maria visited every week for Sunday dinners. No jealousy, just 3 people united by love for Emma. The little girl learned she could have multiple families. The Hell Angels adopted Emma as their princess. She had a dozen uncles who taught her to change oil and fix motorcycles. She attended barbecues where hardened criminals grilled hot dogs. She learned that family came in all forms, that sometimes the scariest-looking people had the biggest hearts. 1 year after Jackson found Emma crying at Lily's grave, they returned together. Emma placed sunflowers on the headstone. "I miss her," Emma said, "but I'm happy now. I hope she knows that." "She knows, kid," Jackson said. "She's watching over both of us." Emma took his hand. "Jackson, can I call you Grandpa?" He'd faced down rival clubs, stared down gun barrels, survived decades of violence, but nothing had ever broken him like that question. "Yeah, kid," he managed. "I'd like that." They stood together in the morning light, an 8-year-old girl and a grizzled biker, united by a daughter's love that transcended death. Lily had seen what no one else could. Beneath the leather and tattoos beat the heart of a man capable of infinite gentleness, and broken people could heal each other if they were brave enough to try. The cemetery was no longer just grief. It became remembrance, gratitude, family. Every week, Jackson and Emma returned with sunflowers, sharing stories about Lily, planning their future. "Lily would be proud of us," Emma said one morning. Jackson looked at this little girl who'd taught him to love again, who'd given him purpose, who'd shown him that family wasn't about blood or leather. It was about showing up, keeping promises, and choosing love over fear. "Yeah," he agreed. "She would." Thank you for watching. If this story reminded you to trust your instincts, to speak up when something feels wrong, and to never underestimate the power of paying attention, please share it. Subscribe to Bike Diaries for more stories that prove heroes are everywhere. Courage comes in all forms, and sometimes the smallest person in the room has the biggest impact. Tell us in the comments. What would you have done in Emma's place? The world said a Hell Angel biker had no business raising a child, but Jackson Kane proved that sometimes the most broken people are capable of the greatest healing. Because when a little girl cried at his daughter's grave, she didn't just mourn a lost promise. She awakened a grandfather's heart that had forgotten how to beat. And in that awakening, 2 lost souls found exactly what they needed: each other, and a love strong enough to honor the memory of the woman who brought them together.